有道德和法律作为一个治理国家、社会人与人之间关系的一个新的纪元的开始。当时是一个我山东老家把山东省由于这个巴黎协议要从德国手里边管辖划给日本，由于这种导致的国内的民族主义的这个迅速的蔓延，那么开始了中国的五四运动
It is the opening gate for our Chinese people, especially after the Treaty of Versailles, for us to have the idea of thinking we all born equal and we should be equally treated. We have our own rights.
在那次运动之后，在中国开始了有政府开始正式的面试西方的，也是由美国带领世界走向封建社会新的开始的。
Our government was inspired by the Western culture. The idea of separation of powers was introduced.
当时中国的一些这个民主一些特别的一些学生走向了街头，开启了这个伟大的运动。后来由于
Our students marched on the streets because of the United States stand out,
的归属问题。
and they have fixed the problem of the Shandong problem.
中国政府和中国人民第一次
The Chinese government and Chinese people first aligned with the international community, and we have dialogued.
美国在那一次一次大战之后的五四运动，
The United
在中
States
国人树立了一个伟大的
during the May 4th movement,
和现代国
it
家
has
治理
established an image for us to
一个新的
inspire
国
from the
际
Western
领
country.
导国家的形象，这对中国人来讲是非常重要的。
It is imperative for us to be civilized in this way.
但是今天当我们在看，在1919年的五四中国民主运动到达今天101年的时候，当时
But today, as we see this May 4th movement, it has been 101 years.
和法律的诉求，可是今天在共产党
We're yearning for democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. And the CCP has been using May 4th movement. They twisted the historic influence of this movement.
占领了中国之后的政权，将今天101年之后，在中国完全没有了民主，完全没有了法律。
The CCP has eliminated our rights to yearn for democracy, freedom, and the rule of law.
我们在香港发生的事情，现在每时每刻。
What is happening in Hong Kong right now?
我们在西藏发生的事情，每时每刻和
What is happening in Tibet?
美国
What is happening in Manhattan, in the States, in the entire world?
到处在因为共产党这个没有法治、没有道德的政府的
The entire world has been affected by the CCP, whose lack of the rule, lack of democracy, lack of freedom.
它让我们更加的明白，一个国家的政权如果没有法律和道德的底线，对人类、对人民那是绝对性的灾难。
It taught us a lesson that without respecting to the environment, without respecting to human, it is destructive to its people and its country.
我关于五四，我今天先说到这里，班农先生，谢谢。
That's all I want to share about the May 4th movement. Thank you very much.
Miles, we're going to have Jeremiah and other members of the whistleblower movement are going to join us starting in the next episode. Just one basic question. We got a couple of minutes left here in your segment. This is Matt Pottinger, the Deputy National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, on May 4th, actually addressed the Chinese people in Mandarin. Can you just tell our audience how powerful and how important was that for the Chinese people to hear that from a senior executive in the American government representing President Trump to address them in Mandarin and talk about the unity of the two peoples?
这个我们的伯明就是 Passenger 这个演讲呢，可以说在中国所有的中国人心目中是投下了巨大的震撼弹啊！ 让我们呢似乎又回
It
到
has
了
affected
1919年
us
的5月4号
greatly.
那个
It reminded us of May 4th in 1919, reminded us of that movement.
1919年的5·4民主运动，有一个更重要的日子，就是1919年的6月3号，也是一个政府向人民
During the May 4th movement, there's a greater important date, that is June 3rd.
在那个政府啊，当时已经在接受了西方的民主和法治之后，出现了
The government who was in position back then
啊等一系列
was showered by the Western civilization.
当时的一些
People such as Li Dazhao, those leaders.
大家要看到那个时候的美国帮助中国最后解决了这个
We need to see that the America
归属的问题。
who helped us back during the May 4th movement, who have helped us to resolve this issue, this Shandong problem.
以及后来共产党在中国推行的啊，要实行美国一样的民主和法治的政治制度的时候，中国人民才相信了共产党，接受了共产党。那么今
The
天在101年以后，
CCP has told us that they would take their ideas that got influenced from the Western, they delivered that to us,
由美国的
and we believe them.
这个副国务战略顾问来讲述一个今天被一个流氓的没有法治的政府，以及谈论中国完全失去了民主和法治，甚至连人的道德底线都没有的时候，对中国人的震
Under the
撼是巨大的。
CCP ruling, the country is destructive on our democracy and the freedom of our people. Passenger
我们
speech
爆料革命
really impact us.
有一个
Our whistleblower movement
班农先生和美国的有这么
align with Mr. Bannon,
像
align with people who
啊，这些官员一
want to
再地
help us,
中国
the
人
government officials.
像被世界啊最为危险的就是排华就要发生的时候，把 CCP 冠状病毒和 CCP 偷美国技术以及
It is dangerous that the idea of anti-China was introduced.
这个伯
The
明先
CCP
生
was
在
trying to
这个关
achieve
键的时候
that.
讲述了中国人在101年前追求法治民主啊，并且将中国
Passenger
人民
speech
和
was
共
important
产党的流
for the world to see that people from the May 4th movement are the same as we are today.
多少中国人在海外的人身安全，
This has
以及给
protected
中
us
国人和香港人巨大的
of people in China and abroad
法治民主
and Hong Kong,
这
and
个价
encouraged
值
us.
在这个关键的历史时刻，让我们更加尊敬美国的政
This
府
speech
跟美
is
国
so valuable, and it happened at this historic moment.
庞皮奥先生、罗比奥先生
It's a great
这样有良知的美国官员。我们的爆料革命，无数的人跟我们
Officials like Pompeo as well.
大家无限的感激，这是美国政府和美国有良知法治社会。
We and all of us are very thankful to those
让
officials
我们更
and
加
to
坚
the
定地
United
追
States
求
of
法治、
America.
民主和自由，
It
让我
gives
们
us
更坚
courage
定
and
地
hope.
来反
We
对
are
共产党这
firmly
个完全没有
believe
民主、
we
法
are
治自由的流
looking
氓
for
体制。
democracy, freedom, and the rule of law against the CCP's
在
ruling.
这个历史时刻，我觉得这次讲话奠定了中国人未来和美国人要世代
I
以后
believe
下去。
this speech has created a united picture between us and the United States.
现在是互联网的时代，这个没有人把全部真相可以掩藏起来。通过我们的爆料革命和班
No one
战
can
斗史
bury the truth.
将这个
Today
伯明先生的这次重要讲话，啊，已经传遍了中国，引起了中国人民巨大的反响。中国人民，我
Passenger
相信，因
speech
为这次
was
讲
spread
话
all over
更加的
China.
坚定
It encouraged so many people in
美
China.
国以及西方文明的世界站在一起，再次的实现我们当年5·4运动
We,
101
along
年以
with
后
the United States, we will once again achieve what happened like May 4th. We
由
will
于
stand
没有法
together.
治道德，给世界带来的人道危机、灾难危机啊！
Miles, I just want to, can we just hold for 1 second? Can you please stay over for the commercial break? We're going to go to commercial break. I want to have you come back and join, just stay right there. We're going to take a few minutes commercial break. When we return, I want to ask you not just about the May 4th movement, but about Hong Kong when we return in right after this commercial break. This is our special edition. Descent into Hell Part 6. This is the persecution of religious groups under the Chinese Communist Party. Stephen K. Bannon, War Room Pandemic. We're going to return in just a second with Miles Guo and his thoughts on Hong Kong in just a second.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something.
If you can find something to help you get back out and be active like Copperfit, go for it.
Absolutely.
Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
I see what's possible instead of what's here. Others see cracked concrete, broken backboards, run-down courts. I see a way to bring pride back to communities. Art can change it all. Bright colors, a bold vision, and it can be somewhere that brings people together for games, or hangouts, or whatever. A place that makes people proud, like this is my neighborhood. That's why I made Project Backboard and a site with GoDaddy. How will you make your mark? Make the world you want.
I sent your new prescription to the pharmacy.
Any idea how much it will cost?
You have a choice. Insurance or GoodRx?
I have insurance.
Insurance is not what it used to be. People struggle to get their prescriptions covered, and prices keep rising. I recommend GoodRx. You get free coupons to save on your prescriptions. Compare prices to find the best discounts.
GoodRx. Smart.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
The audience participation in the community we've been building on these specials over the last 4 or 5 weeks has just been nothing short of phenomenal. Hashtag War Room Pandemic. We want to hear your thoughts, your observations throughout the world. We broadcast this all over, and we really want to thank Miles Guo and the G Media team, G News, for subtitling this in Mandarin and putting it out later in the day. This is Descent into Hell Part 6. This is the persecution of religion under the CCP. This is War Room Pandemic, and these are the Saturday specials we do. We have a whole host of Chinese nationals that are going to come on. We've got some that have actually gotten American citizenship now and can breathe the free air of free men and women. We're going to, by the way, the show's having a huge impact. We've been targeting people like former ambassador to China, Max Baucus, who's a running dog for the CCP, and I see today that there's all kind of articles popping up on him as we start to put the spotlight on these people who have sold out the Chinese people and sold out the American people. I want to return now to our guest, Miles Guo. Miles, thank you so much. Your ideas and concepts on the May 4th movement. We're going to have Jeremiah join us in a minute and drill down on Pottinger. One thing, and I thank you for staying over in the break. there's been this huge controversy. You've been covering this on G News, and I've been very honored to be broadcasting with you since the 4th of June last year, this revolution in Hong Kong. The CCP just cracked down this week, and they're passing a new law in Beijing that essentially takes all the freedoms away from the Hong Kong people. What warning do you have for people in the United States and the rest of the West if they do not stand up to the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing about what's going to go on in Hong Kong? What do you anticipate will happen if the West does not stand up and have the back of these young patriots on the streets of Hong Kong?
我想现在这个问题是非常重要的，对美国人来讲，我觉得应该。
I want to say this is significant for the United States citizens.
我们要谈论香港的时候，我们要谈到101年前的5四，到了。
I want to talk about the May 4th again that happened 101 years ago.
1919年到1989年70年的北京6·4的天安门运动，杀了那么多中国学生。
It has been 70 years between 1919 and 1989. So many people have died.
这是共产党在中国执政的35年一场大屠杀，这是美国政府和美国人民相信。It is a massacre executed by the CCP. 在89之后到今天也35年了，美国政府
has been another 35 years since 1989.
相信了共产党的谎言，认为他会在8964以后改邪归正，发展经济。美国
The U.S. government once again believed the Chinese government.
然后呢，中国共产党就会给中国人民民主、法治和自由，就给世界和平。
They once again believe the CCP's lie that they will give the people its democracy and freedom.
然后美国政府和英国政府，全世界人民又次相信了共产党，在1997年将香港，归还给了中国。
The U.S. and British and people from all over the world once again believe the CCP after the turnover in 1997.
相信了他的一国两制50年的不变的制度。
They believe another lie, one country, two system.
然后在这个仅仅的在这个4个月以前，就像相信共产党说这个冠状病毒
right before 4 months ago,
可控制。
People believe the CCP once again that the virus can be contained, that it is not human to human transmission.
美国人民和美国政府再次相信了共产党。
The America and American people once again believe the CCP.
我们要说到这里的时候，必须说到美国7月4号的独立日。这是最重要的美国的历史。
I want to talk about 4th of July, the Independence Day and Declaration of Independence.
是美国人当时用英国哲学家约翰洛克的政治语言，一切都不应该私有化，一切财富不能。
Inspired from British Enlightenment thinker John Locke, that only by protecting right to individual ownership is inalienable. That gives the government its legitimacy to govern.
然后要以人为本。
We are all born equal.
权力是属于人民的。在这
The power should be surrendered to its people.
美国人民现在要看到香港刚刚发生的这个过去10几个月的这个。
People in the U.S. should look at Hong Kong. Look what happened for the past months. That happened in Hong Kong.
共产党撕破了一切的过去的承诺。
The CCP did not hold any of their promises from the past.
那么今天我们再看，如果美国再不行动，就会像
if the U.S. do not act again,
运动以后，
it will be like what happened after the May 4th movement.
将中国的国家的权力交给流氓政权共产党，交给这个政府。
Once again, give the country's power, the state's power, give party like CCP.
然后从这个共产党拿到政权发生，这35年后发生天安门事件，然后再发生今天的冠状病毒事件。
Ever since the CCP took power, they led to the Tiananmen massacre in 1989. After another 35 years, they led to the CCP virus.
如果在香港、美国和西方世界再不行动的话，你还会给美国
If the Western world and the U.S. do not act one more time,
再一次机会，他就不是在香港和中国祸害中国人民了，他就要来
if you
美国
give
了。
the CCP one more chance,
危
they're
险
not
流氓
only
侵害世界
affecting the Chinese people,
美
the
国
people in
国
Hong
家安
Kong.
全、世界安全的行动了。
They will intimidate the peace around the world and to the U.S.
我们到了推翻这个流氓政权共产党的时候了。如果今天美国不
It is a historic moment that we shall stand together and overthrow this party, the CCP party.
美国人民对共产党所有的给他的东西够多了，容忍可以了。如果
Citizens in the States, in America, you have offered enough mercy to the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP.
如果还允许香港的事情在这个国安法在香港真的会发生的话，美国在美国
If you continue like what's happening in Hong
也有
Kong,
可能被杀害。接下来共产党就会到美国来，到你的家门口，像强奸中国人和香港人的
the
那
next
些
time
母女一样的
CCP will go over
美
to
国的
your
人
door.
你们的
They
妻
will
子、你们的
rape
女儿，
people like they raped in Hong Kong. They will rape the daughters in Hong Kong. They will do the same in the States.
这个华尔街的财富培养了共产党。美国的政府不应该再最后一次让共产党真正强奸
The Wall
世界
Street
了，这是
feeds
最后的
to
机会，
Chinese Communist Party. This is the very last chance.
这就是我的意见，半东先生。
This is my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Bannon.
多少中国人在颤抖，在哭泣，在恐惧。香港每时每刻
So many Chinese people
被消失。
We are scared. We're mourning. We're crying. Every minute there will be a Hong Konger that's been raped, that has been missing.
这是个悲剧啊！我们只能在你的战斗史看到。
It is tragic. It is very tragic that we're sharing this here.
美国的主流媒体现在整个回避了香港的人道灾难。
Because the mainstream media has turned away from this pressing
我们
matter.
看到仅有的像庞皮奥、皮特纳瓦罗，还有这个罗比欧，还有
We saw officials like Pompeo,
美国的官员
Navarro,
有勇气敢
and
发声。
Rubio. These officials, they are strong, brave enough to stand out. Is the CCP really silence the whole world?
半农先生，
This is life and death in Hong Kong.
现在很多中国人民、香港人民给我发信说，班农先生不要消失啊！
Right now, many people in Hong Kong and China have texted me, please do not stop WarRoom. Protect Mr. Bannon. Do not cease the whistleblower movement.
共产党的威胁就像病毒一样，离美国没有15000公里。对香
The
港人的威胁
CCP endangers all of us.
随时可以
It
在
has
华盛
not
顿
been
卖
thousands of miles away. It's very close to you through the CCP virus.
美国人要记住你们的7·4人权宣言呐，天赋人权。
My American friends, please remember 4th of July.
这个
Remember
世界
Declaration
是
of
各个种族
Independence.
互相交流
Please
的，不可
protect
阻挡的
all
一
of
个大
us.
趋势。
Because
保护各
with the
个国家的
interdependence, we are all
交流安全
connected
是美国
with
的
each
立国之
other.
本，人权法治
The
公益
U.S.
是
is
美国的立
founded
国之本呐。
with this.
我们拜托你了，班农先生，拜托美国政府了。香港
We
危在
thank you,
旦
Mr.
夕啊
Bannon. We thank you, American citizens. We thank you, the U.S. government. Please, the Hong Kong is at life and death. Is at a critical moment, the moment of truth.
Thank you. Give me an opportunity. Please go Hong Kong. Hong Kong 9 SOS. Please, sir. All the American.
Hong Kong is in danger. Hong Kong is in danger.
Sir, that's all I talk. Thank you.
Miles Guo, thank you very much. Very impassioned. I know the American people are wanting to hear this and need to hear this. I want to thank you for coming on today. Thank you for the translation and really appreciate it. We're going to take a commercial break, but we really want to thank Miles for that impassioned defense of Hong Kong and really the call to arms of why it's so important to for all of us to bond together and to protect the people in Hong Kong. We're going to take a short commercial break. We will be here. We will be back with the War Room special, Descent into Hell Part 6. This is the persecution of religion under the Chinese Communist Party. You're going to hear from the voice of Christians that have been persecuted for decades and decades and decades. Thank you, Miles Guo. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. We're going to return in just a moment.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now. Introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, redesigned for the first ever easy on, easy off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. A new blend of stretch fabric for the most comfortable, easy on, easy off compression fit.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
Our most powerful copper-infused fabric, woven into our easy-on, easy-off compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. Copperfit Energy Socks worked beautifully.
Extra support around the arch and ankles for increased support and relief of muscle aches and pains.
I'm so excited about these socks. I'm so much more energized to go do things after a day of work. They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
A soft cushion footbed for all-day comfort.
I'm on my feet at least 9 to 10 hours a day. These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin, especially for what I do. With Copperfit, I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Feel more active. Just feel better.
They just hug your leg. It relieves all the pressure that you have. I have so much energy, I can go, hey, you want to dance?
The first ever easy on, easy off compression sock. The most comfortable compression sock you will ever wear. Get your Copperfit Energy Socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-978-1224. Order right now and we'll include a second pair of compression socks free.
I've never felt anything like it before.
No more pain, no more swelling, no more achy, tired feet.
I can never go back to regular compression socks again.
Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name, Copperfit Energy Socks.
America's Voice News brings you real news and real opinion in a real world. If you care about this country, then you can help by sharing America's Voice with your friends and family. We're here to bring you the truth with no agendas. America is one of the greatest countries of all time. We need a great leader to keep us on track and safe. If you support this president, then help us by being a beacon of hope and standing up for this great nation. Join us as we fight to bring you the truth in a crazy world. Search America's Voice News on all apps, Roku, Pluto TV, and Dish Network Channel 219. Please help by downloading America's Voice News to your phone, on your smart TV. Search America's Voice on all your internet-connected devices. Then share the truth with your friends and family. America's Voice News, the real news network. Join the America's Voice revolution and consider yourself an American patriot.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Well, Greg and Jack, you just heard a very impassioned, for all the shows that we do, talking during the week about the technical aspects of this, and we get newsmakers on here. We talk about what the White House is doing, the State Department. We hammer in Wall Street. You have the Frank Gaffney's and the Kevin Freeman's in economic warfare. And we have the specials every week. But when you have a guy like Miles Guo that lays out the 4th of July, the 4th of May movement, the 4th of June in Tiananmen Square, and talks about, really pleads with the American people, saying, hey, this is about your freedom too. If you don't stand up to these guys, the people of Hong Kong, and we've been covering covering this now for almost a year up to 4 June, about how important this is for people throughout the world about freedom. It all comes down. This is the Great Fourth Turning. We had the Revolution, we had the Civil War, we had the Great Depression, World War II. This is the Great Fourth Turning in American history. And once again, as Miles Guo, a guy born in communist China that was arrested during the Tiananmen situation, is now head of the whistleblower of these expatriates. He lays it out. It's all about freedom.
Well, you know what's so interesting? He's talking about Pottinger's speech and how important it was. There's a little backstory there, and I think this was done on purpose. We're talking about the May 4th movement. We're talking obviously about July 4th being our Day of Independence. He gave that speech at University of Virginia, founded by Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence.
Absolutely.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
All men are created equal. And that was not a coincidence. That was absolutely, you could tell that Pottinger targeted that to give that speech on May 4th in Mandarin. Now I want to bring on Jeremiah. Jeremiah is also a native of China, was a citizen of China, is now in the West. Jeremiah, I want to specifically ask you, you're one of the younger guys that have focused on this Pottinger May 4th speech. It got tremendous coverage in China. I mean, the CCP suppressed it, but among the people of China, we heard so much feedback about this. Not as much coverage in the United States. Can you tell us and put into perspective how important was it for Pottinger in Mandarin, and kind of in perfect Mandarin, to give this speech directly to the Chinese people that looked to unite both the American people and the Chinese people?
Sure. Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me here. This is definitely a very powerful moment for Matthew Pottinger to make a speech in Chinese about the May the 4th movement. I believe that the true meaning of this movement is remembered in the free world, in contrast to the CCP narrative. So when he was bringing this speech, a lot of people were shocked in China. The language barrier is broken. A lot of people who does not read English or listen to English, they understand the exact meaning of what Mr. Pottinger is doing. And it reminds of the Chinese people that they share a moment with the American people that we were once fighting together for freedom during the 1919 movement, during the Second World War. So it's a very heartening and encouraging moment for many people, especially the 100 names, Steve.
How important was it to have someone at a senior level in the American government actually address the Chinese people in Mandarin, to have a heartfelt speech that really talked about, and he was giving it, as Jack said, Thomas Jefferson's University, the University of Virginia, Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence. How important was it to be given in Mandarin? And also what he did was he talked about the philosophy of freedom in the United States and connected that to the ancient thinkers in China.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful. Personally speaking, I feel it's a very shocking statement for me. As a Chinese, when I was reading this article, it was actually mind-blowing. It makes me realize that there is a part of the Chineseness that has been lost during the past 70 years. This is partly because the narrative of the CCP is working on the people. They have the brainwashing, they have everything, controlling the media, controlling the academics. So the people do not really realize the true meaning of the May the 4th movement in some sense. However, this is the first time that a high U.S. official, speaking to Chinese in Mandarin. And this is very shocking, and it really breaks the barrier in language, in culture. And this is like, hey, we understand your language, we understand your culture, and we know the meaning of 1919. And we are here right now asking the Chinese people to give a response. And this is very initiative. This is very powerful for many people. So we start to think about what's the true meaning of the May the 4th. Is the meaning from the CCP narrative that is focusing on patriotic and anti-feudal, anti-imperialist meaning? Absolutely not. We were actually in pursuit of democracy and the science at that time. And it is really heartening for someone from America, especially a high official, to remind us of what it is in the history of China. Steve.
Jeremiah, one of the reasons we were having you on this week, and we want thank you for your analysis of the Pottinger speech, was really about the persecution of the church. Every week going forward, we're going to talk about the different religious groups, the Uyghurs, the Tibetan Buddhists, others that are being tormented by the Communist Party. This week we're talking to Christians. Your family's a Christian family. Can you talk to us about your firsthand experience of persecution and your family's involvement with the church in China?
My family is not Christian, but I am the first-generation Christian. So I was baptized in China in 2016. So back then, I was introduced by one of my friends who was a Christian, and I was baptized in Beijing. Well, back in 2016, everything seems okay. We were in a family church. It's a very love-sharing family. People were together, helping each other. I'm really enjoying staying there, and the Holy Spirit is there. I can definitely feel about it. However, after the February of 2018, there is a rule of religious affairs coming out. So it was effective. It was effective, and the prosecution started. At the beginning, in April 2018, the Bibles were not able to be sold online. So if you go to Taobao or any other online stores, you can still find materials of Bible titles, but you cannot find the real Bible. And then later I find out that they are starting to change the meaning of the Bible, especially the Ten Commandments. They were trying to change the Ten Commandments into 9 commandments. They will remove the first commandment. So I heard that someone does not really like it. And this reminds me of the Nazi Bible version. And they changed the 10 commandments into 12 commandments. And this is the only reference I can make at the time. And later I find the sisters and brothers in my church, they are gradually going underground because we're not allowed to be in the church. We're asked to go into smaller groups. And there were police coming in, and they were removing the cross. They were removing the God's words on the walls. And it was very disheartening at that moment. People were feeling depressed. However, whenever I was in the church, we were still going through our Sunday service. And we know that at any moment there will be police coming in, but we were there. We're there holding our spirit and the faith. We know we could face any danger, but I can still feel that all the sisters and brothers, they were sharing their love. They were fighting, but they are not fighting with hatred. They were fighting with the love and the perseverance to the God. And my daughter was also in the Sunday school there. The Sunday school was also closed. My daughter was 3 years old, and she's not allowed to study any Bible materials in school. So the Sunday school may be the only place that she can receive some education of Bible there. However, the Sunday school were closed. There were like 50 to 60 children aging from 3 to 14 or 15 years old. All of them were not allowed to be in the room. And we have another church school too for older kids, and that one was also closed down. So right now, all the brothers and sisters, we are reduced to one WeChat group. So basically, we cannot do too much. We used to have 4 or 5 big WeChat group, and we do work group every Tuesday or Saturday. But right now, we have only one group, and we cannot meet with each other. However, we're still praying in our WeChat group. We're still talking like 1-to-1. So that's the situation right now.
Let me ask you, WeChat, though, for our audience to understand, it's a telecommunications way that you can connect now. The Chinese Communist Party has people that listen in or become part of the group. It's the famous Dr. Li in Wuhan was essentially turned in by somebody in a WeChat group, so they're not terribly secure. Let me ask you, Jeremiah, a couple of things you said of interest. But I think for our audience, what does the Chinese Communist Party have to fear about Christianity and the Christian church? Why do they come in and shut down the family church? Why did they come in and shut down the Sunday school? Why did they go to Taobao and all these online groups and say, hey, you really can't sell the Bible anymore? What is it that they fear about Christianity?
Okay, the CCP review themselves as the only God. They review themselves as the sole source of power. And in that way, they regard all kind of religion threatening to their region. And currently, we see the Muslims, the Buddhists, and Christians are having the same issue at the same time. And I would like to refer that the first commandment that was changed. It is very mind-blowing for me because no one would really believe that they are higher than God. But right now, CCP believes that they are higher than the God, so they want to remove the first commandment. So I definitely believe right now the CCP review all kind of social organizations, NGOs, religious groups as a potential small forces that can subvert their region. I think that's the key issue.
Jeremiah, I just want to read. We got about a minute left. I just want to make sure I understand this. They took the first commandment out of the 10 commandments, so there are only 9 commandments when you see them published in China. And the reason is they could not. The Chinese Communist Party would not allow a commandment that put the worship of God above the worship of the Chinese Communist Party. Nothing could be above the Chinese Communist Party, including God.
That's true. That's correct.
Jeremiah, you're a very brave man for coming on here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your analysis of the May 4th, for Matt Pottinger's speech, and for telling us about your involvement with the Christian church in mainland China. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For those folks at home, and I realize we've been in lockdown. It's been very tough. For the first time in 2,000 years, you haven't been able to celebrate the risen Christ together, and the church had to be online. But every week we hear these stories, and it's like Dante's Inferno. We're going deeper and deeper into the hell. The Chinese Communist Party, and you're hearing this from a practitioner in mainland China, they took the first commandment out of the 10 commandments when it's on the wall because they refuse to have anything above the Chinese Communist Party. You cannot worship a god because they want you to worship the Chinese Communist Party. That's the mentality we're up against. That is what's dropping the hammer in Hong Kong. That is what has stripped all the jobs out of the United States. And this is the disgust we have with Wall Street and corporations who want to look the other way and see the oppression, because you know what? The oppression eventually comes here. Stephen K. Bannon WarRoom Pandemic. These are our specials to send in to help. Part 6, Persecution of Religion under the Chinese Communist Party. We're going to return with more voices from China in just a minute.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new CopperFit compression gloves with sure grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new sure grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The CopperFit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard. I can use my phone. I drive with it. I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new CopperFit compression gloves with sure grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I tried it, I use it, I know it works.
Copperfit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used Copperfit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. Copperfit Compression Gloves.
America's Voice News brings you real news and real opinion in a real world. If you care about this country, then you can help by sharing America's Voice with your friends and family. We're here to bring you the truth with no agendas. America is one of the greatest countries of all time. We need a great leader to keep us on track and safe. If you support this president, then help us by being a beacon of hope and standing up for this great nation. Join us as we fight to bring you the truth in a crazy world. Search America's Voice News on all apps, Roku, Pluto TV, and Dish Network Channel 219. Please help by downloading America's Voice News to your phone, on your smart TV. Search America's Voice on all your internet-connected devices. Then share the truth with your friends and family. America's Voice News, the real news network. Join the America's Voice revolution and consider yourself an American patriot.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. These are our specials we do on Saturday. It gets a huge international audience. We want to thank everybody. We understand sometimes the translation's tough, but we think it's well worth it to hear the voices of the Chinese people themselves. It's the first time any U.S. media platform has actually given access to Chinese people to talk about the dilemma they have under the Chinese Communist Party. Remember, most people in the United States don't realize that very few people in China are communists. Of 1.4 billion people, there are less than 90 million members of the Chinese Communist Party. And Jack and Greg, I think you would agree that when we hear these stories week in and week out about the torture, everything to dealing with behind the firewall, and just how they have to live, what happened in Wuhan, the absolute disregard for any human values that the Chinese Communist Party has, because it's a totalitarian, atheistic, materialistic dictatorship that stands totally against everything that the West has ever stood for, right? I think it touches us every week and makes us grateful that we think we got it hard here in Washington because of the shutdown, and you can't go to church, you can't really go out, you can't do anything. It just shows you how tough people really have it. And this thing is just, it's amazing. It can't continue like this. It's going to be one thing or the other. It just can't continue like it is, and that's obvious. And I want to thank Lady M for joining us, another part of the whistleblower movement, another one of the dissidents. And the first question I've got for you is that there's no freedom of religion. We understand that it's in the Constitution, Lady M, but it's not. There's no real freedom of religion. Why is that? The question we keep asking is, what does the Communist Party fear about Christianity, and what do they fear about the Chinese people going to church and hearing the word of God?
Well, the Chinese Constitution, thank you for having me, Mr. Bannon, by the way. The Chinese Constitution does grant freedom of religion, and then the practice, and they do protect the practice of normal religious beliefs and practices. But the heresy and then the hypocrisy of the CCP, that's where they reside. And the Constitution and law are often written in general and very vague terms, and they leave a lot of room for interpretation at the execution level and the judicial level. In China, the CCP is the legislative body, the executive branch, and the judicial system all in one. There's no separation of power. So they have the final say on how to interpret the law and how to carry out the law. And they're so afraid of the religions. First of all, I think they are afraid of the unity among its people. Any unity they regard as a potential conspirator and uprising that could threaten the stability and the security of their ruling. The May 4th movement and the June 4th massacres are great examples of that. Both had a profound impact on the Chinese politics, society, and culture. The CCP is fully aware of what a small act of bravery can do to the regime, and they will do everything in their power to nip it in the bud. And with the religion, people get to know that they're created in the image of God. They know their rights come from God, not from the government, the politicians, or any political parties. They would not easily buy into the CCP propaganda anymore. And that is something they're not going to tolerate. The society with only one voice, the CCP voice, and that's what they strive for. Religion promotes love, peace, honesty, and mercy. The CCP offers the world as we see it only cheat, lie, steal, and kill. The two could not coexist. That's why the CCP is at war with religion. Thank you.
Is a small act of bravery, you mentioned that they cannot tolerate small acts of bravery, is going to an underground church, because most of the evangelical Christians, most of the Christians, you have some like the Patriotic Catholic Church and the Patriotic Standard Protestant churches, but they're kind of fake. The real religion, and particularly the underground churches, is it a small act of bravery to actually go to church and participate in Christian worship?
Yes, most definitely. And the officially recognized religions, they are asked to register with the government. So in order to get the license, those groups have to pledge their allegiance to the Communist Party first. So in China, God is second to the Communist Party. But no one can serve two masters. So the faithful believers, many are third and second generations Christians. So they're forced to go underground, and that really opens the doors for government harassment, detention, and other abuses to them. Thank you.
If you can hang on, we'd like you to stay over for the next segment. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to go to the top of the hour. We've got the second hour ahead of us. We've got a lot to get through, but we want to hear your voice, Lady M, and particularly when we come back from commercial break. I'm going to ask you what I've seen in dealing with Christians and dealing with the Tibetan Buddhists, dealing with the Uyghurs. It appears to me, as an outsider, that the churches are even strong when they're underground. So we want to hold and ask that question for you when you get back about what the underground church is like. This is War Room Pandemic. These are the specials we do every Saturday. This is Descent into Hell, Part 6, the persecution of religion under the Chinese Communist Party. We're starting with Christianity. This week we're going to get to the other religions as we go on, because remember, the Chinese Communist Party is an atheistic, materialistic dictatorship. They don't want any spiritual development of the Chinese people. They don't want, this is part of the greatness of the Matthew Pottinger speech. What Pottinger did was try to connect the great philosophical and spiritual underpinnings of Chinese society that Mao Zedong and the communists tried to wring out during the Cultural Revolution. During the Cultural Revolutions, they tried to break the traditions of the Chinese people. They tried to break that continuity they had in the family, because they're very family oriented. And as we say, Lao Baijing, old 100 names, and the deplorables are more similar than people think. So we want to thank all of our production partners for helping us to do this. Stephen K. Bannon, Greg Manns, Jack Maxey, here on War Room Pandemic, Descent into Hell, Part 6, the persecution of religion under the CCP. We will return with our guest, Lady M, in just a moment. to Lady M for one last question we didn't get to in the last segment. Lady M, Christians in the West, we study the early church and the first century church. We know about the persecution of Christianity when it first began under the Roman Empire. We're getting more familiar with the kind of persecution of the Christian church in the Middle East, where we started as a desert church, but it's been essentially eradicated. We're very familiar with the persecution of the church under the Soviets in Eastern Europe, and now the persecution of the church under radical Islam in sub-Saharan Africa. But what I get from all these weeks and spending time over the last couple of years with underground church, underground evangelicals in China and underground Catholics, it seems to me the church is actually stronger in China than it is in the United States. And I mean, we pride ourselves as being a country that keeps forward the Judeo-Christian ethic, whether you're religious or not, kind of the underpinnings of our civilization. But we're predominantly still a Christian nation with many, many churchgoers. But sometimes I think we've lost our way. But we look and hear every week. So how is the church underground in China? Is it growing? Is it robust? Or is the CCP winning? Are they destroying the church, the underground church in China?
They are not destroying. That is not happening. Actually, just like you said, the church is growing and getting stronger by the minute. Just like the early churches, they started small, and with the persecutions, with the oppressions coming every single direction at them, the churches bond within themselves and then they spread. The more oppression they get, the stronger they hold on to the Lord. Only the Lord, the Word of God, offers hope, offers strength, offers joy that nobody can take from them, from the believers. So as they look outside in China, everybody is into the materialism. That is not going to give them the satisfaction. Only the Word of the God that would satisfy the thirsty soul. And that people, more and more they see it, and the more and more they flock into the church to seek the truth, to seek the peace that only the Lord can offer. Thank you.
Lady M, last question. We know we have a lot of listeners in the United States and worldwide. What can people out there do what can Christians particularly do to assist the church and to assist the persecuted church in China? What do you recommend that folks do? That folks that sit there and go, hey, I want to help, I want to be of assistance, I understand this is an incredibly important time in history, and now I've heard it, I've heard witnesses to it, I can't turn away. So what do you recommend that people in the United States and throughout the rest of the free world, particularly church-going Christians, what should they do to assist our brothers and sisters in mainland China?
There's two things they can do. First and foremost, pray. Pray for the sisters and brothers in China. The second is I would urge you to contact your congressmen, your senators, urge them to stand with President Trump, our wartime president. This is a war that we cannot afford to lose. It is time for the CCP to perish from the earth. Pray that you stand with us and stand with him. Thank you.
Lady M, I want to thank you. Thank you for your bravery, for coming on here and for everything you do every day. We understand Lady M is your nom du jour, so we really appreciate you. Know you're part of the whistleblower movement and part of the fighters in the underground church in China, so we want to thank you very much.
If I may, Steve, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I want to thank you for giving the oppressed, the persecuted, and the disappeared ones a voice on your show. Thank you, and God bless you and your team.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, what do you say to that?
Wow, it's just so humbling.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
All of this is so humbling.
Yeah.
We were in the break. I mean, I'm not afraid to say I was tearing up.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it really makes you question the strength of your own faith.
You don't. It's just,
and your own patriotism, your own sense of, what kind of struggle do we have in comparison?
Nothing. Zero. These are giants. I mean, this is amazing. Do we have Mara? Now joined by Mara Monahan, a fire breather. Mara, we've had a very fascinating day so far. We just feel like midgets because you got these moral giants that are fighting every day this communist dictatorship. You've been doing it for 40 years, ever since you were a young girl. I realize you've been fighting for the Tibetan Buddhists, but one thing I admire about you, you're Daniel Patrick Monahan's daughter, and he was a fighter. You've seen every aspect of this. One thing I wanted to have you on today was this Pottinger speech was, I thought, a seminal event. And of course, the mainstream media didn't really cover it. Here's a guy that's the Deputy National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, basically has the job essentially that Henry Kissinger had 40 or 50 years ago. He's at the University of Virginia, or because of the virus, he was doing it remote, but on a conference at the University of Virginia where he was going to speak. The author of the Declaration of Independence at Mr. Jefferson's University, he gives a speech on May 4th in perfect Mandarin Chinese, and this speech has this directly to the Chinese people, bypassing the Chinese media, bypassing their interpretation, directly to the Chinese people, and connects the great philosophical movements of the Judeo-Christian West with the underpinnings of the philosophy of ancient China. Can you give us your analysis? And since you've been doing this for 40 years, how important was what Pottinger did?
Well, first and foremost, in all my years of being a China watcher and a Tibet activist, I've never seen an American official address the Chinese people in perfect Mandarin before about democracy, human rights, all of these things that are enshrined in the United Nations Charter. And since China has a seat on the Security Council, these are things that the Chinese people should have access to, but they don't because of the Great Firewall, which you've discussed before on War Room Pandemic. And the May 4th movement, it was very significant in the history of modern China because it was an attempt to throw off the sort of medievalism of the Qing dynasty and asking for democratic reforms, for universal education, literacy, all these concepts that we very much take for granted in the West. And unfortunately, for the people of China and for the world, the communists prevailed in 1949 over the Nationalist Party. It's a long and tortured history. But and we can go into that more in detail. But I'm also extremely disappointed with mainstream media for basically shutting out Mr. Pottinger's speech. I spent 3 hours watching corporate media yesterday, NBC, ABC, CNN. There was not one mention of the word China or of Hong Kong, which the Chinese Communist Party is moving in very, very fast to crush their democracy, their democratic system enshrined in the one country, two systems law that the British constructed. It's complete whitewash. It's just COVID, COVID, COVID all the time. And again, the narrative keeps coming back to blaming the White House, and it's not giving the White House any credit for this extraordinary speech by Mr. Pottinger in Mandarin, reaching the people of China. Very disappointing.
Mara, let me ask you, this is what I think people that tune into this show don't understand. They understand if the mainstream media is not going to cover Trump appropriately, or if it's not going to cover the conservative movement or the grassroots movement. They understand that. They understand there is a bias, and there's kind of elitist a bias against that. I think what people are having trouble getting their arms around is how is the mainstream media not covering the most important story of our time, and they have not covered it. That is the rise of the Chinese Communist Party to be basically an existential threat, not just to the United States, but to free people throughout the world. This virus and how this virus got loose and how they exacerbated it, whether it came out of their lab or not, we know for the fact that once they found it was out, they lied about it, they exacerbated its spread, they've swept up PPE. I mean, their actions, even if it wasn't a bioweapons program, even if it didn't slip out of a lab, have been horrific and have been damning. And so how has the mainstream media failed to cover this, failed to cover the fact that they're all into our companies, that all of our capital, the hardworking people in this country, have gone to finance their companies, that all these people you see all the time are just representatives of the Chinese Communist Party? How have the great papers of the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, CBS, CNN, how have they missed the story?
Well, it's not that they've missed the story. They're deliberately not reporting on it, likely because of pressure from their shareholders and from the Chinese Communist Party. I would ask your intelligent viewers to, anyway, if you're watching War Room Pandemic, you know there's something very wrong going on here with China. Do a bit of research on the companies that are controlled. Do a little bit of research on the companies that control the media establishments that have tremendous influence and power in our society. NBC, for example, cut a lot of deals with the Chinese Communist Party many years ago for sports advertising. Whoops! Did we lose the connection?
I think you just came back. We have you now.
Okay. For example, Comcast, which owns NBC and other media companies, many years ago signed deals with the Chinese Communist Party for broadcasting. And of course, they own half of Hollywood. And that happened in recent years, particularly when former Democratic Senator of Connecticut, Chris Dodd, became the chief lobbyist for the Motion Picture Association and allowing censorship. And the New York Times every week takes color page ads from China Daily. And until they stop doing that, you're going to see a bias in their coverage. And I think it's frightening at this point when China has declared war on the world. And certainly as PLA generals and CDC spokesmen are saying war with America. They've been saying it for a very long time, as you know. But now the situation is getting very dire as they move on Hong Kong. Because if they succeed in crushing Hong Kong, that means Hong Kong is going to be the next Tibet. And the rest of the world has to be on guard for on alert. India could be next, Japan, Taiwan, and I just don't see any coverage about this in mainstream media, but I do see it on War Room Pandemic. So thank you, Steve.
Maura, we got to bounce. How did we get? Give people your Twitter feed because I know it's on fire. You've become a huge audience favorite. What's your Twitter handle and how do they get to your webpage?
My Twitter handle is Maura Moynihan 1. Maura Moynihan 1957 is my website. And I would just like to give an action item to your listeners, which is, I know we always encourage people to write to their congressman. Why not start writing to the Chinese embassy in Washington? Start writing to the consulates that are all over this country. They can't stand it when we Tibet people protest in front of their consulates and embassy. It drives them absolutely crazy. I know this for a fact. So do it. Stand out there and say, we stand with the people of Hong Kong. Send them letters. You know, we've been here in New York every night doing projections of Free Tibet onto the consulate, which is on the West Side Highway. It drives them crazy. So join us.
Perfect.
Free China and Free Tibet.
Free China, Free Tibet. Thank you, Maura. Maura Moynihan. We'll be back in a moment.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second.
The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo.
Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
sure am. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Just some programming notes. We're doing a special over the weekend, both tomorrow afternoon and on Monday. The special is Memorial Day. It's a Memorial Day special. You're going to want to tune in. Then we've got Patrick K. O'Donnell. We've got Jack Posobiec. We've got a whole raft of special personalities. Congressman Banks, Bill Gertz. We're going to be talking about what Memorial Day means to people. We're going to talk about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the whole aspect, the history of the unknowns, how it came to be, how the soldiers were selected. You'll find it fascinating, I think. Also talk about some of the most important battles in American history, and particularly the Revolutionary War, about some great patriots that we don't know where they're buried, but people are interested in finding out. So make sure you tune in both Sunday afternoon and also Monday in our normal time slot. It's Memorial Day, so we'll be doing a Memorial Day for that in commemoration of the 95,000 American citizens that are now dead because of this pandemic that has come out of the courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party. A few more program notes. Pete Hegseth, since Pete came on, had that great interview last week, and his publisher says that they did particularly well on the book sale side. They've asked if Pete could come back, and we love Pete Hegseth. We'd have him every day if we could, but we can't take him away from Fox and Friends. He's got a paying gig, so we've got Pete. I think it's going to be on Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Also tonight, I'll be on Jesse Waters on Fox, the Jesse Waters Show, and yes, I will be talking about China and the Chinese Communist Party, so you don't want to miss that. That's Fox at 8 o'clock. Also, we're really glad to note we've had some tremendous distribution partners, Epoch Times, Jim Hoft and the guys at Gateway Pundit, Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star, and all the newspapers that Michael Patrick Leahy runs to have distribution. And Real Clear Politics is going to pick us up today, and we're going to be on the Real Clear Politics site with the show, specially pushed out. Also later in the day in Mandarin, in the Mandarin language, which is we really want to thank the folks at G News and G Media. I want to go back, and we're having some hookup issues, but today is the day that when you're doing things with Skype and you're trying to keep people's names from getting out there and their voices from getting out there, it gets complicated. I want to turn to Greg and to Jack. I think we've seen a massive sea change in this city, in Washington, D.C., from the pandemic, but particularly now people are looking at the Chinese Communist Party in a different light. Before they used to confuse it with China or the Chinese people. It was kind of all this. Now they're very focused on who the enemy is, what they've been doing, who they've been infiltrating, how they've been getting access, how they get access to Washington, how they get access. I mean, if you go back, and I don't want to politicize this, but Donald J. Trump is president of the United States because of the decline of America, the Thucydides trap, where this concept of like taken from the Peloponnesian War, you have a rising power and a declining power. The American elites were comfortable with the managed decline of the United States of America. And that's why Trump's president, because working class people, this audience, we have a lot of hedge fund people and trading desks throughout the world that listen to us because we've been pretty accurate on the calls about the direction of this pandemic and the economy. We have a lot of news producers. We have a lot of the political class. But the backbone of this show and the reason we started as War Room Impeachment 6 months ago or 5 months ago was to get to the deplorables, make sure that they had a voice and a platform and on hashtag War Room Pandemic. But they understand it. You don't need to have a big lecture to these people. They understand about the managed decline. They understand the factories went away and the fentanyl came in. If you go up to New York, you got to sit in a boardroom and kind of explain to guys. And they go, well, what's that? Why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because when the factories go, the high value-added jobs go with it. This is the central issue of our century. And the working class people on both sides, you don't need to tell Lao Baoxing old 100 names. They get it. You can hear it every week on this show. They understand it. They don't need a lecture from a guy at Harvard, okay? They understand this in the marrow of their bones. The American working class people understand it also. I think what's become a revelation, and we're very proud we're at the cutting edge of this, in this Greek tragedy, that they understand now that it was their money. It's their pension fund money. Remember, Mark Zuckerberg didn't have any money. He took venture capital money. The venture capitalists, when you see Larry Fink and Schwartzman and all these names you see banning about, Ray Dalio, they don't. Yes, they've made money, but they don't really have the money they're investing is your money. It's pension fund money. It's from nurses. It's from teachers. It's from cops. It's from firemen. We just stopped $800 billion. Roger Robinson, the guys at the Committee on the Present Danger, and Representative Banks, who's on the Memorial Day show, have been all over this thrift savings plan where $800 billion of government workers, the mailmen, all the government guys that work in the government, all the soldiers, all the military, their money was going into finance Chinese Communist Party companies, and particularly companies dealing in surveillance, intelligence, and military. Jack, you just reminded us at the beginning of the show of now that the Commerce Department, another, 30 companies?
33 companies have now been blacklisted, along with, I guess it was 18 that they did last fall. And you're right. They're targeting companies that are doing electronic surveillance, facial recognition. Now, these are Chinese companies, but I think the next step has to be their partners in Silicon Valley who gave them the technology to become oppressors. It always reminds me of Churchill's speech in the spring of 1940, where he warns after they get off of the beaches in Normandy. And he's talking about
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, excuse me. And he says, if we fail, there could become a new dark age made even more insidious. And he says this almost like a revelation today. It gives me shivers. He said more insidious because of depraved science, right? Demented science, adding the science behind the oppression of the people. And this is what the Chinese communists are doing. I got to tell you, this is very emotional for me personally to listen to these stories, because it makes me tremendously frustrated, and I get messages from so many wonderful young Chinese people showing me pictures of them marching with our flag, and I'm very humbled.
Look, and this is the way it's going to get stopped. We've had so many victories over the last couple of weeks. What you have to do with the Chinese Communist Party is choke them down with no access to capital and choke them down with no access to technology. We're not going to look the other way and force technology transfers. We're not going to let it come in and cyber steal from our companies. We're going to lock it down. If the American people and people in the West have the backbone to force the political class, to force Wall Street and the City of London and the global corporatists, no more financing, no more partnerships, no more technology. If we can do that, you can choke down the Chinese Communist Party. Remember, they're almost at this. They're at an inflection point. they're almost able to do it on their own. That's why last spring, in the spring of 2019, they decoupled from the United States. They go, hey, tough guys, this came about because of Trump's shutting down of ZTE and Huawei in the spring of 2019 when he cut them off component parts. Remember, President Xi came to Trump on ZTE and said, hey, I'm going to lose 100,000 people. ZTE would collapse if we put in the components restrictions for 30 days. It would collapse. He came to him and said, hey, we can't do this. After that, they made a decision. This is why they walked away from the Lighthizer-Trump deal in the spring of 2019. They go, you know what? We got to decouple from these guys because the West is now getting wise. They're getting woke. This guy Trump is bad news. In the Grundoons around him, the Pompeos, the Navarros, the Pottingers, the Bannons, they all got attitude, okay? No more are they playing ball with us. And so we got to break, and we got to do it on our own.
Well, and also for the American people, I mean, think about how many times the Treasury has had to backstop Wall Street's gambling in the last 20 years, okay? I think it's very fair. We, the taxpayers who bailed these guys out, demand that they not play with our money in communist China. It's just fair as fair.
One thing the Chinese communists said, we've got Jasmine, we're going to get to her in just a second. One of the things that the Chinese communists did say, and this tells you how you run your house is important, on the financial collapse of 2008, they came and said, hey, we were always told that the West knew what they were doing. We were always told that the West was the best capital markets in the world. We were always told that the financial integrity and fiduciary responsibility of the West. And hey, we're looking around, and I remember they said this. In Hong Kong, I think China bought $50 billion of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns bonds that went to zero, right? And they said, hey, we own stock, we own bonds. It was all sold by the West. We bought it. Turns out you guys stiffed us. Is that what the game's going to be? So these guys are very savvy and very tough. We got a lot of people backed up to get on here. We've had some communication problems, but that's all to be understood in these days of doing remote. In the next segment, I tell you, we're going to finish up here. In the next segment, we're going to get to Jasmine and talk more about the persecution. Before we jump to commercial break, both of you guys are veterans of this thing. Greg, you've been involved in the politics for many, many years. Jack, you actually ran the War Room in the 2018 midterm elections. And by the way, some of the alumni that have gone on to great things. Powell has been Sidney Powell is the lawyer for Mike Flynn. Michael Caputo is the we ought to get an alumni association for War Room 18. Guys have gone on. Jack Maxey's still here, unfortunately. The ringleader. The only guy who didn't graduate. The only guy who didn't graduate was the ringleader. Everybody else went on to great things. Pal's on TV. She's on Hannity every night. Michael Caputo's in the Oval. He's actually acting Secretary of Human Services. He's just faking being the comms director. Guys have gone on for great things. But you've seen a sea change in this town. You've seen guys like Josh Hawley and Marco Rubio and Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham all standing up and saying, hey, and they're all kind of to the right of Trump saying, we cannot let this continue on. They have to be confronted. A confrontation's coming. This is 1938. What the Chinese Communist Party is doing in Hong Kong and what they're trying to do in Taiwan and what we bring every week of what they've done to their people is exactly what Hitler did in Czechoslovakia, exactly what he did in Austria. And guess what? Everybody wanted to look the other way. Neville Chamberlain went over there, and they all thought they could get a deal with these guys, right? And hey, it's going to be peace in our time. Well, we know how that turned out in the 1930s, okay? It led to a catastrophic war. To avoid that, they must be confronted. When we return, you're going to hear more voices of the Chinese people on the persecution of religion by the CCP in a moment.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now. Introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, redesigned for the first ever easy on, easy off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. A new blend of stretch fabric for the most comfortable, easy on, easy off compression fit.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
sensational.
Our most powerful copper-infused fabric, woven into our easy-on, easy-off compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. CopperFit Energy Socks worked beautifully.
Extra support around the arch and ankles for increased support and relief of muscle aches and pains.
I'm so excited about these socks. I'm so much more energized to go do things after a day of work. They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
A soft cushion footbed for all-day comfort.
I'm on my feet at least 9 to 10 hours a day. These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin, especially for what I do. With CopperFit, I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Feel more active. Just feel better.
They just hug your leg. It relieves all the pressure that you have. I have so much energy, I can go, hey, you want to dance?
The first ever easy on, easy off compression sock. The most comfortable compression sock you will ever wear. Get your CopperFit Energy Socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-978-1224. Order right now and we'll include a second pair of compression socks free.
I've never felt anything like it before.
No more pain, no more swelling, no more achy, tired feet.
I can never go back to regular compression socks again.
Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name, CopperFit Energy Socks.
What kind of world do you want to live in?
I want people to wear what they want.
I want to bring pride back to our communities.
I want us to be free to talk about mental health.
I want humanity to reconnect with nature.
I want sustainable to be the solution, not the alternative.
Make the world you want. You've got the power, we've got the tools. And now, take your online presence to the next level with the new GoDaddy Websites Plus marketing.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes one too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Thank you for joining the special edition of War Room Pandemic. This is about the persecution of Christians in China. I'm now honored. We've worked out our technical problems. We have Jasmine on. Jasmine, thank you for joining us. I'd like first for you to tell, because the personal stories are always the most powerful. Can you talk about your conversion to Christianity and what it's like to be a Christian under the domination and rule of the Chinese Communist Party?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Bannon. First, allow me to thank you and your team for all you've done for the Chinese people. Thank you for bringing the awareness to the West on differentiating the CCP from China as a nation and differentiating the CCP from the Chinese people. You know, CCP had hijacked the Chinese deplorables for over 70 years. So what you are doing is really appreciated by the Chinese people, especially the deplorables, including me. And if it's okay with you, may I also take this opportunity to give my gratitude to the whistleblower movement?
Sure. Yes, we love the whistleblower movement. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. And I'd like to take this opportunity to really give my sincere gratitude to the whistleblower movement led by Mr. Miles Guo. And it is through this whistleblower movement that has enlightened the Chinese deplorables. And it has given the Chinese people hope to finally break away from the CCP's captivity. And also because of this whistleblower movement, we now have a platform, G Media, GTV, where we could freely express ourselves and free from the CCP's censorship and propaganda. Now back to the topic about the religion and a little bit of my background. I'm a Canadian Chinese now, and I was born in China. I was converted into Christianity back in China in the 80s. And over the years, I've witnessed how God has helped his people under the oppression of the CCP, and how the CCP also have infiltrated the churches over the years, both domestically and abroad. So as we know that the CCP, since from the start, they are very hostile to all religions, but especially to to Protestants and Catholics, and actually Muslims as well, because these religions are considered to be foreign. So they see this as a gate for foreign influence and infiltration. They have been very much afraid of that, and since start from the beginning, they are very hostile. And soon then, the first they expelled all the foreign bishops for the Catholic Church and all the foreign missionaries. And then comes the Cultural Revolution, where they force people to denounce their faith and demolish some of the churches and lock down the churches. And people who refuse to denounce their faith, who try to continue practice their faith, were either put in jail, or some are even executed, and they're being isolated in the society. They can't find jobs. So that's how they persecute the Christians and all the other religions during the Cultural Revolution. But then, starting from the reforming time in the 80s, the Communist Party started to realize that they have to open up a little bit, and the operation cannot really kill the religion in China. So as a early Christian in the 80s, when I was converted, at that time our church has not returned back to us. Our church facilities were still locked down. So all we could do is go to a home to worship. And so that's what they call the home churches. And we have to be very careful. We have to keep low profile, not to alert the neighbors. We have to sing our hymns in a very low voice. So that's during the 80s. And then by the end of the 80s, we were able to get back our church, and we started attending the church. But you will know that since from the beginning, the CCP has always sent some informers to watch you at every gathering. They want to see what you're preaching, what you're doing in the church. And even today, in the church, there are tight rules about how religion can be spread. You are not allowed to evangelize outside the church. So even if you're talking about God, once you step outside the church gate, you're not allowed to talk about God. And also inside the church, you're not allowed to preach gospels or teach any religious thought to youth, to young people under 18. They consider that as brainwash. So during service, all the young children has to be ushered to a nursery room where they kept there. You can't tell them a story about Bible story. You can't, the maximum maybe you could sing some hymns. That's about it. In any evangelism outside church is prohibited. But still,
I just want to get this right and make sure I understand this. You can't teach small children. You can't tell them the Bible parables of Jesus Christ. You cannot teach them. You can sing hymns, but you're not allowed to teach children, people under 18, and particularly small children. You can't teach them the Word of God.
Yeah, that's a rule, because they say that you are trying to brainwash them to superstitious things. That it's very ironic that even though kids in China are in the environment being brainwashed by the CCP's massive propaganda, and yet in the church they are controlling them from the truth. They don't allow us to teach any Bible principles to the kids, because if they see you gathering the kids in the nursery room, if you're telling Bible stories, that's not allowed. So they then somebody would come and interfere and would say that, hey, this is a rule breaking here.
I want to go back to one more.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I was saying that is the reason a lot of people would rather continue with their underground churches or home churches, so that they can have a little freedom to do what is right, because the official churches are all under the control of what they call the Three Self-Patriotic Association. That's actually under the CCP's government agency's control. It's directly under the umbrella of the United Front Department. So they are the ones who's monitoring church activities. In anything you do, they're watching you. Yes.
Let me get one thing, and we're going to ask you to stay over through this commercial break because we want to spend a little more time with you. We're going to try to get to all the people that we have, but if not, we'll get them next week. Jasmine, you mentioned the Cultural Revolution and denouncing your religion. The Cultural Revolution basically took place in the 1960s under Mao Zedong, and in the West, it's kind of taught the Cultural Revolution was to break the Chinese family. What they wanted to do was to break this great tradition, this family tradition you had of having, a lot of kids, but having this very warm, loving family. You kind of had ancestor worship. You pass that down from generation to generation. Why did they want to break religion? Why did they want you to denounce religion, and how did they go about and do that?
I think the Cultural Revolution, ultimately, they want to destroy anything that is traditional. They want to reinforce the communism as the new religion. During the Cultural Revolution, people are asked to cite Mao's work before you eat, before you do anything. It's like our Christian, we would say grace before we eat. But during the Cultural Revolution, you're forced to cite Mao's words before you do anything. And then some places they would ask people every day it's required to look at Mao's picture on the wall and tell the picture what are the bad things that you have done, what you have come short to the Communist Party's standard. So it's like a confession to the CCP. They made their communism as a kind of like a cult, a religion, enforcing it to the Chinese people, and at the same time taken away all their own chosen religion and faith.
Let me ask you, if you did not denounce your religion, and we heard a story about the rule of law and justice where a senior judge in a regional court in a court was dragged in front of the town square in front of all these red guards, and his little children had to kneel there where he was whipped, right? And the beatings got so bad and continued for so many years that his wife eventually committed suicide. She just couldn't take it anymore. It drove her mad. If you did not denounce your religion during the Cultural Revolution, what happened to you?
You would either be arrested, and as what you said, some people are being shamed in front of everybody, caned, like a lot of nuns and priests and also clergy. They're being harshly treated like that, and some of them are being put into a labor camp. Like one of my relatives during that time, he refused to denounce his faith, and he was kept in the labor camp for about 10 years.
Did I take it they failed to break religion? How did religion make it through the Cultural Revolution and make it to get to the 1980s, where they could that you could find Christianity somehow and actually get converted? How did religion survive Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution?
Right. Mm-hmm. So the gospel are still being spread word, mouth to mouth. So by one-on-one evangelism, and then also through the underground churches. So people are conducting worship secretly, even though they're facing great danger, but they're still preserve their faith by doing that.
Last question, and we've just got about a minute and a half left. What can people in this audience today, in America and throughout the rest of the world, how can they come to the assistance of the Chinese people as far as their religion goes? What would you recommend? What would you ask? What would you want your fellow Christians in America and throughout the rest of the world to do?
One important thing is that I want them to not to trust the CCP's propaganda. CCP is trying to convince people that the Chinese are not ready for free religion, freedom and democracy, but that's all lies. Because I have testimonies on how the Christians, once they're converted, they're just like any other Christian in the world, that they can live up to the standards of the Christianity. So the West, I think it's a time for us to realize that the CCP is more like a devil's incarnation. And so we have to bring the truth to break the CCP's control and bring the truth to China. And we have to break down that wall, the wall that they're blocking the truth, to preventing the truth to be heard in China. And we need yes.
Yeah, Jasmine, thank you very much. We got to bounce. We're going to get one more. We're going to get Joyce next. I want to thank you for joining us and thank you the bravery to do this. Thank you very much. We're going to return in 1 second with one more voice from China.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new Copperfit compression gloves with sure grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new sure grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The Copperfit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard. I can use my phone. I drive with it. I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new Copperfit compression gloves with sure grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I've tried it. I use it. I know it works.
Copperfit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used Copperfit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. Copperfit compression gloves.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-284-4127 or go to flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127 or order online at flipupglasses.com.
Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
I now want to welcome back to Descent into Hell Part 6, the persecution of the Chinese people under the Communist Party about their religion. We're running out of time. We've had such a great show today, but I wanted to get Joyce on because we prep these shows and work with the Chinese people to make sure we have contact. And she told me a story. Joyce, are you on? Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Bannon.
Joyce, you told me the story, I believe, when we were getting ready for this about the Cultural Revolution and about the woman who would not renounce her religion. If I remember correctly, we talked about that?
Yes.
Can you tell us that? We only get we only get about six minutes. Can you walk us through that story? But during the Cultural Revolution, this brave woman who would not renounce her Christianity.
Okay. Yeah, this woman, we call her Pastor Yang. She was a very brave woman. Because she refused to join this Three Self-Patriotic movement. She actually was put into the prison for 12 years when she was really young. She was one of the very famous local house church leaders in my city. And she was put in the jail for 12 years in the labor camp. She has to take care of 300 acres of fruit farms every night. And because her bravery, she was so brave that it even touched the heart of the labor farm officer's wife. And she started to talk to her, and eventually she even converted her into Christian. And when the officer knew that this pastor almost got killed. Yeah. But she never...
And she converted...
Yeah, she converted her, yes. Mm-hmm.
So hold it. The labor camp's head, his wife, was converted to Christianity by this pastor who refused to renounce her religion and was sent to 12 years of hard labor. While she's at the camp, she impresses, I guess, the guards about her diligence in her work. She gets access to the prison commander's wife, and she teaches her the Word of God?
Yes. Yeah. First, she just give her some care, because she was tortured, and she was really she has compassion about her, and then she started to get to know her, and then she then started to preach the gospel to this commander's wife, but always secretly at night.
Did that cause a problem with the commander's wife and the commander, since he's the commander of a hard labor camp that I guess has other Christians in it?
Yes, that was really, really risky to her, because not only her would be killed, the commander himself and his wife probably will all be executed if people knew that.
What happened? When she was 12 years of hard labor. What's her story? What happened after she got out of prison?
After she got out of prison, that's already in 1979. She opened. She never give us her faith. So she even opened her own house to have a house church. So every Sunday she will open her house and sing and preach the Gospels, and share the personal testimony with all of the people, who listen to her. And then for another 35 years. Yeah.
Let me ask you, we're running out of time here. We've got a couple of minutes. What is it like today to be a Christian that's worshiping and going to these house churches? What is it like today to be under the boot of the Chinese Communist Party?
Well, today, I think communist nature never change. They are atheists. So there are ways to surveillance and monitor and watching people. It's the same thing but different methods. Today they have more extensive, like a surveillance networks, cameras everywhere, phone tracking, social media monitoring, internet police, the kind of thing so they can use more sophisticated technology to monitor and watching people. And the latest move will be the social credit score system introduced in 2019.
Last thing, we've got about a minute left. You've got a large audience here in the United States and throughout the world. What can people, particularly Christians, what can Christians do in the United States and throughout the world, Joyce, to support the Christians, the underground Christians in China?
Well, I really want to tell them that it's time to wake up to this truth that this communist CCP is a real evil. And we need your support to stand with us, to help us. I know Bannon and Moscow already have this in place by Rule of the Law Foundation, the GTV. But we really need your help, and we need you to help us, like President Trump and Pompeo. You just use political and economic sanction on CCP's members who abuse the human rights and religion freedom. So.
Joyce, thank you very much. It takes a lot of bravery to do this. Really want to thank you for working with us throughout the week and for sharing these stories to the American people and people throughout the world.
Thank you.
If you think you got it tough, just listen to the show. I mean, it's amazing. It's stunning, right? That is lived Christianity. I don't know what we're doing, but I know what they're doing. This is just like first century Rome. If you don't think the Chinese Communist Party is the font of all evil in the world, you're not paying attention. And now it's all been stripped before your eyes. There's no more running and hiding from this. Wall Street can't run and hide. The corporations can't run and hide. The media companies can't run and hide. All the facts are coming out. And you're either on their side or you're backing the Chinese people. You hear these voices, and we're going to do it week after week after week after week. We're not going to stop, okay? This evil empire must fall. I want to thank everybody that was part of this production. I want to thank particularly the brave Chinese people who not only, learn English and share these stories, but under huge risk to themselves and their families have the bravery to come and do this. What bravery are you going to have to support them? That's the question you've got to answer in the great fourth turning of the American people. We'll see you tomorrow with our Memorial Day special.